Please hold up your cup. Okay, can you very carefully clean that against your salsa? Okay, Madam, would you do yours? So have a salsa. Madam, how inappropriate. It also sounds like, of course, sorry, of course. Just like the porcelain thing. I'm looking for one that is absolutely not nasty. I think yours might be somewhere. Now, one of the problems that we have, with the difference. Now, some of these that you see, you might see cracks in the bottom. All right? And that is part of the problem of stoneware and earthenware. It can make a crack under the high temperatures of our tea. So, Mrs. Cox, if you've got everything in your cup, I hope that you have as much porcelain as possible. We do have a little bit of silver to take tea in today. I'd like to start with the Congo tea. Yes, yeah, it's yes, Congo tea. If you're not familiar with that, that's spelled C-O-N-G-O-U. Right? Have you heard that before? No, not that you know of. It's not too awfully different than what you have. I'm not sure how appropriately worthy you are in the way that you drink tea. I hope so. Well, then we'll be glad to bring that out to you, and then you will also be served sandwiches. Have you eaten already? No? All right, well, make yourself at home. We do have milk and sugar. If you would like some, then you'll just pass that around, because we figured that we have so many people, so few servants, that we would have a hard time. It would take us all day, and you do have to get in the coach back to North Carolina today. So, all right. So, who takes sugar and milk? Go ahead and pass that around. Yes. I'm taking some stomach discomfort. And upon my first taking of tea, it totally subsided. So, I would say there are many health benefits. In case you are concerned about how much tea you take, I'm sure the more you take, the better, which is why we got into this predicament anyway of loving tea so much. In fact, I received this as a health benefits of tea. I like to read tea. Now, our husbands oftentimes will tell us that we spend too much time at tea and neglect our families. Now, we can go back and say, it is for my health, my dear one. So, first of all, tea purifies coarse blood. I don't know about you. You have coarse blood?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure in the spring we have coarse blood. Yes. Now, it drives away heavy dreams. I don't know about you, but if I take tea in the late evening, I don't dream at all. In fact, I'm not sure I sleep. It also chases away stupidity. Now, this last week, I don't know if you're concerned with this, but it also strengthens Venus's affairs, therefore being very useful to leaders. I didn't know that. You do, Mr. Franklin. He's the best astrologer.
He is.
He absolutely is. Who else uses all that? Ladies, how do you tell your health? How do you tell anything about the next year? I mean, it's truly a wonder to have that and tell you when to plant your potatoes. What else are you going to plant now this year? Tomatoes. Well, I'm not sure I would eat that. Well, some people do, I suppose. But you know, I just wish we all are very aware of these pleasant times. I mean, these are pleasant. But if we go out on this street, and here are our gentlemen at Faneuil Hall debating of all the things that have happened. I mean, somehow we found ourselves in between ourselves and the King and Parliament and the King's soldiers. In fact, there's 2,000 in the city as we speak. Well, this is a town of only 15,000 people total. Every way you look, there's one here and there, and every movement is made. I wish we could have had an almanac every year for the last 10 years telling us what to expect, because we would be much better off had we known. Now, back in, I have actually created these just so that I can remember these times. These times should not be forgotten. I know that maybe your memory is better than mine. Can you remember 1764? Can you remember 1761? 1755? Does anyone remember? Surely not. You've not forgotten what happened from 1755 to 1761. Oh, amazing. What is that? What do they talk about? We don't remember anything. From 1755 to 1761, of course. Oh, yes, Miss Jackie, you are quite rich. Did you not have husbands? At our age, we had husbands that were actually involved. Yes, right. 1763, the king decides, oh, we're spending so much of our money on those English, that American colony. They should have to support themselves. Here comes his blasted axe. I'm going to ask you, who can remember the first one? Sugar. Yes, I know. What are the names? Oh, no, yes. Your husband, doesn't he manufacture rum?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. That he was actually one of the main importers of that molasses to make his rum. I'm sure he was. He may not. You know, these gentlemen, they do not talk to us about these things because they don't think we're equipped mentally to understand them. Can you believe that? God will. And I'm going to equip you. Okay, first, the sugar. Who likes to read here? Oh, well, okay. Would you please share with me, and ladies, about the Sugar Act? The year, what it was. Do you understand the difference between a direct tax and an indirect tax?
No.
Really? When you go to the market and you pay for something and they ask you for a little more, is that a direct tax or an indirect tax?
Direct.
It is direct. But when things are imported, they're shipped in. Who gets anything shipped today? Right, we all get things shipped today. That's right. But when those things are loaded at the dock, it is their duty to pay them. And then the merchant raises the price. So you don't see it, but it's still a tax. So, the molasses money and the sugar that was coming in, well, first of all, where was it coming from? The East Indies, but you have the British East Indies and you have the Dutch East Indies. Now, technically, we're not supposed to be trading with the Dutch East Indies. We're supposed to be only going to English East Indies, right? So therein comes the Sugar Act. So, madam, if you would share with us what that act states.
Taxes on foreign sugar and molasses will be reduced from 6 pence per gallon to 3 pence, but strictly enforced.
Oh, okay.
Officials will no longer accept bribes.
Oh, God. Absolutely. Now, let me just go pause you there. Does it say foreign? Foreign. So what is the foreign sugar? It's from the Dutch. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. But does it say that it's rising the tax or lowering the tax?
It says it's lowering.
It's lowering the tax. See, this is a wide little trick that they have. Because technically they know that we are smuggling in so much that if they lower the tax, then maybe we will buy legally. Because it'll actually be lower than what's being smuggled in. Okay. Resume.
The following items will also be taxed in foreign: certain wines, coffee, pimento, cambria, and calico printed. Would you like to continue?
I have calico printed. You have calico printed. Who else has printed? Yes. You skip that. Oh yes, anything that's printed on calico. And where does that come from? Calcutta. Is why it's called calico. In fact, your china that you're using today is called china because it was originally porcelain. England and France did not have the ability to make porcelain. China did. And as time went on, England and France learned the art and mystery and also what type of clay they needed to make porcelain. But today, we still call all of it China. Okay. So, and then after that, so who likes, obviously, you ladies would be in distress because you like the calico. Who likes coffee? Who likes pimento? What would the others know?
Cumbria and certain wines.
Oh, who likes wine? All right, what also came in that package?
Greater regulations on exports of lumber and iron. This limits and reduces where we can ship lumber, cheese, and farm products, disrupting our economy and limits the amount of currency on hand to purchase British goods.
So herein is the problem. We know that in Europe, they've used up most of their trees. Here in America, we're cutting trees down and making fences out of them that look like lawns. We have so much lumber, we just we're bleeding it. So we want to ship it out, right? But according to this, we're going to regulate where we can ship it, and our iron as well. And when that happens, if I cannot ship something to you outside of Britain, right, I can't get in return what I need from you. So it limits us. And also, it makes where our currency on hand is less. So therefore, we cannot purchase British goods because we don't have a British pound. Great inconvenience. This was 1764. And then on the back of that was the Currency Act. Anyone know what that might have been about? Okay, who'd like to read that? Everybody's afraid to read my license. Thank you.
No more printing paper, money, or bills of credit by the colonies. British merchants expect to be paid in sterling. Also, if one is suspected of smuggling in violation of customs laws, you will be tried in English courts with no jury and little hope of acquittal.
You just simply have to suspect you of smuggling that. You have no jury of your peers. They've already decided you're guilty. Right? English courts. Up to this time, we did not have that problem unless we could print our own little bills of credit. How many of you buy things on credit? Oh, really? Someone raising their hands, and I know for a fact they do. Imagine not being able to buy things on credit. And that, in effect, is what this currency is. And these were printed out by each colony. Now, truly, I have a Virginia note here. If I take it to Maryland, it might have a slight difference in value. And that does cause a bit of a problem at times. And if I owe you, then this can be, I can give this to you, and you can call in silver from me when you're ready to call it in, right? Right. But if you all of a sudden need something and you don't have the money, you can give it to her, and then I owe her. So oftentimes we just write on the back to say who can do it to, or who is right. Okay, now what's going to happen, ladies? We are going to clean the cups. We're going to clean the cups. We'll ring around the slot bowl. That's what it's called. Not being inappropriate. And it will be rinsed, and you will be ready to take the second course. But before we get to that, in 1765, just barely a year later, the Quartering Act. How many of you ladies, do you have a large home? Do you have a large home? Do you have to quarter any of the soldiers? No? You don't have to quarter any of the soldiers? No. It's all about But the Quartering Act demands that colonists and the colonies are responsible for keeping up these British soldiers. They're supposedly here for our defense, or we're living right now ourselves, obviously. And then the lovely snake. Who knows what you have to affix a stamp to? Under the stamp. Any ideas? Janelle?
Any cards?
Playing cards, a paper, like this lady over here. Madam, do you have the piece? I don't know what she's got in her hand, but that piece of paper, yes, she's like, she's so excited, I don't know. She's got the dispatch. She can't get that's confidence, that's fine. But anyway, your cards. Did you have a stamp on the paper that uncovered your cards, madam?
Did you have that stamp?
Yes, the paper that your cards came in should have had a stamp in it. Yes, okay. Yes. So that, what else did we say?
Any paper, any paper.
Contracts, bills of sale. Each time you buy something, you have to have a stamp affixed to the bill of sale. Pamphlets, broadsides, advertisements, legal documents, and wills. Really? You want to tax me after I'm dead? Then what happened to the Stamp Act? Well, we all know who had great power in the repealing of the Stamp Act. Well, the Sons of Liberty, of course. Yes. We've had riots. We've had all kinds of things. I won't speak of those in place. And then, of course, in 1764, oh, the Townshend Acts. Who knows about the Townshend Acts? This was next. Just a bit later. We'd like to share what was in the Townshend Acts. Would you like to do it? See that there, that's all right there.
Items to be taxed: glass, lead, painter's colors, paper, tea. Establish a customs board in America so that customs agents would, in daytime, enter any house, shop, cellar, or warehouse to seize any goods smuggled in and can use force to do so. Just requires a warrant or a writ of assistance to do so. The Indemnity Act took duties off of tea when shipped to America by the British West India Trading Company.
Thank you. So who here uses paint in their household? Glass? Oh, yes, of course. Lead? What do we make our shot from? Sir, you must certainly need lead for your gun. Right? You need lead bullets. They're taxing us, sir. He doesn't want to admit it. He's sitting back there. I think he's the Sons of Liberty watching us. Paper, and again, tea. Okay, always tea. But most importantly, see before, when we had like John Hancock, you've heard of John Hancock, right?
Yes.
Have you seen John Hancock? Ooh. Ladies, he has his own wall. He is the most wealthy man in Boston. Not to mention his bachelor. And brave. Stands up to the king's men and the customs agents. In fact, on his wharf, just not too long ago, his ship Lydia came into port. See, and in this act that they are speaking of, the customs board, see, before this, you had your gentlemen, your customs agents, and they would take the money, but they would also take bribes. So they'd come on the ship and say, "Oh, we want to charge you 6 cents. Now you know we can't afford 6 cents. Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, we will only charge you 3 in duties. And why? Because these custom agents are not paid very much by the king. So they were more than glad to take our bribes. But after this, it created a whole board, a custom board in America. No bride's going to happen anymore. And so this one day, when Lydia came into port, it was towards the evening, and the customs agent came down, and he was like, I think I will just come back tomorrow in the daytime, because you have to be in the daytime, right? You can't see very well. We have candles, but obviously it's dark down there. When he came back in the next day, he realized that there was only a few casks of Madeira lying on the beach. Now surely John Hancock, this businessman, did not bring this ship into port with just a few small casks of Madeira. And obviously, there was things taken off the night before. And then, again, they took duties off the tea being shipped to America by the East India Trading Company. So who were paying those duties? Us. What? If the East India Trading Company came to England and offloaded their tea and sold it to our English brothers and sisters, they did not have to pay duties. Only we. Are we not part of the English family? I don't know about yourself, but I do consider myself totally English. Well, so many things have taken place. It's just hard to even know where we may go from here. I do wish we had an almanac to tell us, but all of this is making me thirsty. Ladies, are you ready for our next course of tea? Yes. Oh, yes. Now, this will be a little bit different. This is called Boone. Yes. Are you ready? Ladies, don't stand upon ceremony. As soon as you're ready to drink your tea, please do. I don't want it to get cold. Tea that's cold is no better than slop. Only to their service. I do not understand this thought process. But you know, we do not have the ability to say anything about it. What is our recourse? How do we let them know? Well, we've tried and tried, letter after letter after letter to the king. It always seems to fall on deaf ears. But you know, I don't understand, but I think how many men in America own land? At the present time, it's usually about 3 to 6 men own land. And of course, what that means is we should have a voice. In England, that's how it is. If you have land, you own land, then you can vote. You have a voice. You are represented. Now, yes, I do understand there are places in England, like Manchester. Have you heard of Manchester? It has no representation in Parliament. How can that be? And then out here there's this some mountain, lofty mountain area that also has representation in Parliament. It doesn't have a single soul living on it. Sounds a little fishy to me. But of course, even though 3 out of 6 men in America own land, we have no voice here. Does that seem right to you? No. And herein lies the problem. That's all we want to do, is let them know how we feel. Let them know. Because see, really, all British subjects offer a present to the king. You're not taxed for it. We get together and talk about it. That's always been the way of it. When we came to America, that was the way of it. And we just thought we were the same as our British subjects. But that's typically not the way it has happened here at all. So does anyone need to dump their cups? Now, I see some people just are not fond of this. Mrs. Cox, maybe we could go ahead and get the slot bowl. Yes.
Would you mind to correct the sugar? The ladies would like to go ahead and step back in there too. Okay.
Don't feel badly if you didn't like it. He likes to keep me informed, sometimes. My dearest wife, the circumstances is such that I take a moment to pen these few lines. The crowd of patriots has grown so that we have removed from Faneuil Hall to the larger Old South Meeting House. It is estimated that there are 5,000 Sons of Liberty here. You are already, now keep in mind, we only have 15,000 people in the whole city. Wow. You are already aware that 3 ships are moored at the harbour at Griffin's Wharf. 2 of the ships, the Beaver and the Dartmouth, are American whale ships, owned by Mr. Walsh. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's very wealthy. He also has his own wharf. He is of the affluent Quaker family of Nantucket, who unwittingly agreed to bring a return cargo of East India Trading Company tea back to the colonies. Most likely, they were unaware of their fate in doing so, having just unloaded their whaler in London after a lengthy whaling expedition, which usually lasts from 1 to 4 years in duration. The 3rd ship, a large full-rigged ship, the Eleanor, is owned by our esteemed Boston merchant and smuggler, and also he's a Boston Board of Selectmen, very important in the city, Mr. John Rowe. He has a number of stores, he owns warehouses, and his own wharf. The ship is commanded by Captain Bruce, a known Tory sympathiser. Captain Hezekiah Coffin commands the ship Beaver. This was its maiden voyage. We know not of his persuasion, whether Tory or Patriot, or neither, maybe he's neither, because Quakers are usually removed from all ill circumstances because they are pacifists. The Sons of Liberty on all sides of me stand firmly in our resolve of this most crucial day, as it marks the 19th day since these ships carrying this poisonous tea have arrived in the harbour. We have kept the ships unto this time from unloading the tea, where the duties would then be paid. But on the morrow, the 20th day, the law says customs agents, if those teas and ships' contents have not been unloaded on the 20th day, the customs agent shall have the right to confiscate tea and all, and then it will be owned by the Crown and the duties paid. No more bribing of the customs agents, these poor ship's owners and their captains caught literally between the demands of the Sons of Liberty to sail away. The Sons of Liberty are saying, sail away. Take it back to England. Or the customs agents who will not let them leave, and by law can only let them leave with permission of the Royal Governor, Thomas Hutchinson. It is growing dark in the streets of Boston as we await word of if Hutchinson will allow the ship to leave the harbour this very day with tea on board. We wait to see if we can preserve our liberty or not. Tomorrow, all may belong to the King, your affectionate husband. I also heard that a 4th ship was actually shipwrecked on the way to Boston. And you know, when he said it's growing dark, this has been a constant problem in Boston. You do remember the massacre of late. We know that that was in the evening. Had Boston had her own whale or lamps, I mean, we have whale ships all around, which are cheap to light the streets of Boston. So when you take your journey along the streets, now if you don't put your candles at night, in the windows. People cannot see to make their journey. That is why it's important to have boundary on pathway. Yes. But that ship, the William, does have little ship lights for Boston on board, but it was wrecked before it got into the harbor. That is a harbor that I hope survives, actually. So, well, thank you for listening. Let's see. I'm always losing you, madam. Yes, could you approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you let the other servants know that we would like to prepare the next course of tea?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I shall.
So 5,000 wait to hear the fate of the ships. That's quite a few people, do you think? Are any of your husbands involved in that? Yes. Please, would you tell me, who of you have a husband that's a son of liberty? You don't know? Is it a secret? You don't talk about it? Oh, yeah. It's probably a good thing. All right. After all you've heard on this day, yes, we have taken tea, but it was smuggled in Dutch East India Trading Company tea. I trust that you enjoyed it. But you've also heard how all of our pleas of supplication to the King of England have fallen on deaf ears. Correct? Absolutely. Yes. We will not serve you, ladies, if you will have a seat or just put it to the side. We do have to determine some things beforehand. And what we need to determine is where you stand individually. Now, I will ask you a serious question about who you are today. Today as you are in this year that you are in. How do you sustain your family? Where does your money come from? In our midst, we may have teachers that work for the city or the county. We may have government officials. You may receive some sort of a stipend from your work in the past as a government worker. If you were anyone in that situation, anyone worked for the government before? You work for the king, man. Is anyone of an age that receives money in mail or through your account because of your aging condition? Where does that money come from, madam? It comes from the king. Correct? Am I correct in this? So my question to you, none of you raised your hand when I asked if you were married to a son of liberty. But where do your sentiments lie? Where does your better judgment sit on your future if you walk away from that money? But you do not get from the king. Think about it as I come around. You will need to know. You may want to put this into your market wallet. You may want to hide it, depending on your persuasion. Now, are you a daughter of liberty or a king's woman?
Daughter of liberty.
You're sure?
Yes.
Absolutely. Madam, are you a daughter of liberty, or are you afraid to walk away from the king? Daughter of liberty. Madam? You know, I can look into your eyes and see if your pupils dilate. I'm just going to hand these out and then we're done with it. Okay, that's you, madam.
A daughter of liberty.
Yeah.
A daughter of liberty.
This is encouraging. Need I ask, madam? Oh, are you to move over somewhere. Well, if you take money from the king or any government entity, you may have to walk away. You have to walk away from the income. So I guess you're keen to win that.
I'm a ghost, but I'm
Self-made woman. Yes.
I'm proudly a daughter of liberty.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So you should be encouraged. Something dire is going to happen after we didn't have meals.
I'm with this lady over here.
Which one? Oh, thank you. Yes, you. Awesome.
I'm with the king.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Well, you know, some people don't tell the truth. Okay, daughter. Yes. All right. Yes. Well, you know, there are some things that, Mrs. Cox, I don't need you for a while, thank you. There are some things that we have determined that will be necessary in our survival. We obviously have not had much of British sterling to buy supplies. We have gone through non-importation thought processes. That we do not want to take imports from the king at all, if we can help it. But there are some things that are just literally valid for us to have. Can you think of maybe what they might be?
Coffee and chocolate.
No, absolutely not. That's what maybe. Chocolate. I don't know about chocolate. Yeah, what things are imperative for our survival? Can you think of any things?
Salt.
Salt, yes. Although, if we can only get to Kentucky, they have their own salt licks.
Fabrics.
Do you really have to know?
I really want them.
What did you say that you were? What did you say? That you were?
I'm a daughter of
You are confused. Madam, you will have to forego your yearly order from England. If you're a true daughter of liberty, you're going to, well, then you're going to have to learn to use these, madam.
No.
Yes. Bit of sheep.
I do have sheep.
Yes. Well, then you will be spinning and making your own clothing of your own manufacture. Ladies, if you're a daughter of liberty, this is in your future. Then we must learn. Yes, and I'm willing to teach you. What else do we need to ensure our lives? Any ideas? This is mine. Flowers. Flower? No, we could probably produce that our own. I don't know that we have to ship that in. My people are waivers. That's to make my fires. Not that I have to have that. But talking about the whales, we do have a great fleet of ships out of Boston and Nantucket, and even Salem has some, and also New Bedford that go. So lighting will not be a problem. We actually have quite a few candle manufacturers here, if you are in need of candles, or if you can afford them, I should say. I look like I'm in polite company, so I'm sure that you use candles in your homes. Now, what about this? What do you think is in here? I should ask the Son of Liberty. What in the world would be in this that we absolutely have to have?
Fires.
Lead.
Oh, share that again. Someone said it. Lead. Yes. We must have lead to protect ourselves. Also, is anyone here, is your husband a tinsmith, a coppersmith? He also should have the lead. for his seniors. These are some of the things we most absolutely have decided that we will import. But cloth, no. Fineries, no. Not on your life, no. And the sons of liberty will make sure that you conform. Or the daughters. I didn't know it was going to have to depend on the sons of liberty or the daughters of liberty. But you know, the days of late have been quite trying. I don't know that we truly understand what the future may hold for us. But I am so glad that I have seen you come to your resolve of maintaining, with the exception of a few, that you're maintaining the fact that you will live for liberty or you will live not at all. Oh, Mrs. Cox, I think I saw a letter arrive. Did you see it? Yes, another letter.
Kind sir, you can look a letter for this day from a lady.
Thank you, sir. He takes his time. My dearest wife, the situation is grave indeed. Mr. Roach has returned to Old South Meeting House, and the whole assembly of 5,000 souls held their breath, awaiting the result of his plea made to Governor Hutchinson that he would allow him to leave the ship out of the harbor and return to England. But Governor Hutchinson would give no relief to poor Mr. Roach. The governor would not allow Mr. Roach to leave the harbor and return it to London. He must unload it and pay the duty. Roach was asked if he would unload the tea, Mr. Roach, in Boston. He answered, I have no business doing so. But if I were asked to do so by the proper persons, I would try to land it for my own security's sake. With that, Samuel Adams, who had been making speeches throughout the day, proclaimed, nothing more can be done to save our country. At that very moment, Mohawks showed up at the door and immediately made way towards the ships, waiting in the darkness of the wharf. Oh, no. Ladies and gentlemen, he left off his signature, which is very distressing indeed. I don't know why my husband would not sign this letter. What should be my action? Should I go to the wharf?
Are you okay?
Oh, my husband! Oh, Lord, save me!
Oh, Milady! Oh, please excuse me, lady. She is overcome with grief. Oh, she is so afeard for her husband. Have you ladies not been afeard today also? It is a grave situation in the Boston Harbor. So I will end this with a note from Mr. George Hughes from his diary to kind of help explain how the day went. Mr. George Hughes recorded the following. It was now evening, and I immediately dressed myself in the costume of an Indian, equipped with a small hatchet, which I and my associates denominated the tomahawk, with which and a club, after having painted my face and hands with coal dust in the shop of a blacksmith, I repaired to Griffin's Wharf, where the ships lay that contained the tea. When I first appeared in the street, after being thus disguised, I fell in with many who were dressed, equipped, and painted as was I, and who fell in with me and marched in order to the place of their destination. It is estimated that between 60 and 90 Mohawks made their way to the wharf with thousands following. They would destroy all 114 chests of the tea on the Dartmouth, 114 chests on the Eleanor, and 112 on the Beaver. 340 chests of tea in all. They destroyed nothing but the tea. Remembering, nothing but the tea. In fact, it is said on the ships that they asked for a light, a candle to light their way, so that they only destroyed the tea. On the fourth ship carrying East India tea to Boston, but was shipwrecked. You remember me talking about that earlier. Just before reaching Boston, there was a cargo that could have changed things on this night and the night of the Boston Massacre. Had only been in Boston years ago, and that was well-oiled lamps to light the dark streets. The dark streets in which lighting could have stopped the dark sequence of the events leading to the first shot fired in the massacre. But also, they have allowed the Mohawks to have been identified. Either way, may one light always shine in harbors, in the streets and alleys of America. And that light, it is the light of liberty. Long live liberty! To liberty!
Liberty!
We are done. I shall take my leave.
Please join me in showing your appreciation to Pam Eddy. Pam is retired from the National Park Service after 27 years as an interpreter and living historian. She also is a tour operator, has her own business, and operates a tour for ghost stories down at Cumberland Gap. And I encourage you all to, if you're into the ghost stories, to check Pam's website, etc. I want to thank all the volunteers. If the volunteers who help serve want to come out, we'd like to I want to thank Natural Tunnel State Park and the association for providing this space for us. This was opened in 2019.
protection from fierce storms and rain. The pure dawn calms our nightly fears of strange shadows moving in the forest. Tonight, we sleep in comfort and safety. Tomorrow, we are back on the trail.